I believe that our marriage is one of the best. I don't think there's any other marriage in the world that is like ours. And I believe that marriage is all about, what you bring into the relationship. And I believe that it's all about me reflecting on my contribution in the relationship and just looking at my partner, who they are and what they bring. I think everything comes from what I bring, and it becomes a seed for what my wife brings. And I think I consider myself a giver, and I consider myself a giver as well. And I've seen how much she's given over the years. And whatever she's given back to me is what I've sown into her life. And I believe that's the beauty of relationships, and that's the beauty of marriage. It's not just waiting and seeing what your husband does or what your wife does. It's being the husband that you should be and being the wife that you should be. And together we make such a beautiful, couple and a beautiful relationship. And we encourage others through our lives as well.
What convinced me is that I prayed, and by God's grace, when I met him, I knew he's the one. So I had no doubt, because my faith was that I know God will not give me a snake if I ask for a fish. So the moment he spoke to me, it was confirmed in my heart that he is the one.
And the mistake that people make about choosing a life partner is that they become too tense about it, too religious about it, and they just want to be too specific. And how people meet is quite natural and spontaneous most of the time, and it's unpredictable. So when people get too tied up about it and they're really worried they must look like this and that, and they're too specific, and they stress, and sometimes people just don't want to make mistakes because they've had too many stories or they've been disappointed before. And because of that, they become too tied up about their choices and all of that. And I believe how it all happened for us and how we knew was just to know. I saw her in the church, and she had come to visit my church, and I could see her, and that's all I saw that service. And I think other people think, that is ungodly, but that was part of God's plan, actually.
Yeah.
So everything happens in the church, outside the church, wherever it happens, but all of it is part of God's plan. Some people have met in a way that is not so typically godly, and today they are there and they're God's will for their lives. So it doesn't really matter how you meet. What needs to happen is that people need to be very easy about, meeting others, and be rested about it as well. When you are rested, that's when you can make good judgment about who you are meeting, and you can feel it in your heart, and you have the peace of God in you. And that's what I saw. I just knew in my heart, and started to pursue, and after pursuing, everything was warming up, and then it just happens. There are many other efforts that people can make and doesn't work out, but there is that moment where you just know this is the one and this is the time.
My husband is very patient and very forgiving. So it's very difficult to offend him or to make him angry. So he's always forgiving and trying to understand, of course very loving. He's a loving father and a loving husband and a loving man of God. But yeah, he makes my life so easy. It makes me feel so protected from the first day. I knew that I have someone who covers me, who protects me, and for that I'm very grateful.
I think she's right. She's right. It's good to hear your partner say that about you. It's not all the time that you hear that. I hope she's not just being diplomatic about it. But, it's very true. These are principles. And I always tell couples, one of the principles that I teach in premarital counseling is the principle of simplicity. People just forget to be simple. The simple man, the simple guy, the simple young lady that you met, those days back, all of a sudden, when they are now married, they become too formal, too rigid, too complicated. You have to have some codes in order to crack the code and get to their mind and know why they're not smiling today, why they're not happy, all kinds of things. You live with this person, share the same bed, night after night, but you just sometimes don't understand what's going through their mind. And that's not a good place to be as a couple. I think what has made it easy for us is that, we just deal with stuff and just move on. In the earlier years, then you start to perform, you used to perform, do stuff, get angry. And I believe that, that is part of the Hollywood of marriage. Where you base your relationship is based on performance. You decide, today I'm going to be angry, and this week I'm not going to talk. And people are simply just acting up. And I've realized that after a few years that you can actually decide to ease up. Decide to forgive, decide to put your smile back on after you've dealt with issues. Just decide to let go, decide to ignore certain comments, sometimes decide to ignore certain actions and have the peace of the house. And sometimes we just take each other up and take each other on every small thing that happens in the house. And that's why the home is no longer the home, it's a place where people, attack each other, confront each other, and you don't look up to going back home at the end of the day. It's not good. I think the home must be a place of rest, place of mutual, refreshment, mutual understanding, a place of mutual support, mutual encouragement. You are each other's encourager, you're each other's best supporter number one. So that's who you should be, not each other's haters. People made it contain into, a hating game, where people really now are at each other's throat. Strangers even look better than a husband and a wife. Where people get together after all the effort they made, the lobolas paid, the relatives who came to support, and the friends, and all of that was not just a mistake. It was part of the plan of God for your lives. And I think, that's really what made it happen for us all these, how many years now?
27.
27 years, it just feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I've come to realize, especially even after I've, became a man of God, a preacher, a pastor, I realized, the next moment you'll be encouraging somebody whose marriage is not right. And if I'm having stuff happening with my wife, I'd rather just better make it. Within a minute, an hour is done, and I move on. Next hour I'm going to preach. I need to make sure that I'm preaching with a clear conscience. And because of that, I've learned that it's actually possible, it's doable. It's doable to let go and to be easy and to be simple. If you're angry, just say, I'm not happy with what you said, just a minute ago or this morning, and you talk about it, it's clear. Sometimes even if you feel okay, you don't understand why they're blaming you, okay, it's fine, thanks, I'm sorry. Life goes on. That's the beauty of life. Divorce, it's that one nasty word that always comes up. It's becoming much more common every single year as it goes. And unfortunately, it's the one thing that affects lives everywhere. Married people. We've got a heart for couples and for marriage, and many people know that we've got a lot of weddings happening in the church because we really encourage couples to stay on. I've even taken the effort now to become a marriage officer with the Department of Home Affairs. And I went into all that trouble just to make sure that we support these young couples. There shouldn't be an excuse, we didn't sign, this and that, We can just make things happen for them easy. We've married couples in our office, at our home, sometimes the church, because what is important is that the two should come together and become one. But what then happens after that? I need to say this. I've never met one couple that came to me and say, we are really, really happily divorced. I've parted ways since we parted ways. I'm the happiest, I'm fine. People can say that, but they're bluffing most of the time. And people that are honest will tell you, please don't do this mistake. This is the worst thing we've ever done. And people get into a life of performing, for each other, just to prove to your ex that, things are better this side, and the other one is doing the same, just to prove, I'm living a better life. And sometimes kids are in between, and because of that, people even tend to perform on their kids, and end up, spoiling these kids because, truth is lost in the process. Because we are at each other's, throat, and we're trying to prove, who knows better, who is doing better, and all that is a waste of time, I believe. So I think if at all it's possible, it's better to avoid divorce. It's really better never to even think about it. And I know there are many couples that use the word divorce most of the time in their marriage. When they are angry, let's divorce, let's just give this up. Maybe we were never meant for each other. I don't even know why I ended up with you. I made the biggest mistake. Words are very powerful. Divorce is not something that just happens in a day. It just doesn't just start today and tomorrow you're at the lawyer's office or the judge's office. It happens way before, and people use words, the power of words, to destroy their own marriage. And yet people don't really mean it when they say it, but they still say it anyway because they're so angry they can just say anything. But I need to warn anybody who's watching now and listening, please, no matter how angry you are, don't kill your own marriage. Don't be suicidal on your marriage. Always restrict certain words from coming out of your mouth, no matter how angry you are. And these days, people put it on text, on WhatsApp, and they write long messages, and they're just, killing each other with these messages and killing their marriage in the process. And I don't think that is right. And I believe we'll also be accountable to God. There are situations of, abuse, whether it's physical abuse, and it's going on and on. I've heard of couples where the husband pulls out a gun, puts it on the table, see this, I'll kill you, I'll shoot you one day, and stuff like that. I think those are cases which are concerning. And I'll advise you that those are situations where perhaps you need to step aside and get advice on what to do. And we don't encourage people to divorce at all, but if your life is at risk, we've seen people killed in marriages, and that's not good. And so, but other than that, strengthen yourself and be a peacemaker and work on it, and don't give up. I believe that the problem starts when you start to see your partner as the problem or the mistake, and you think the solution is to separate yourself from them. And you start to imagine yourself independent from them, not having to deal with their inconveniences, whether it's their drinking problem, or whether it's adulterous relationships, whatever it is. So once you distance yourself and see yourself as a victim, you'll never be part of the solution. And I believe in order to be part of the solution, you need to see these challenges as an attack on your marriage and on your relationship, so that you can help your partner, your husband or your wife, out of whatever weaknesses they have. And you need to find reason to be strong and to be courageous, because tomorrow, when all this is over, and I'm telling you, I've seen couples that have been over these things, and when it's all over, they will turn to you and look at you, and they will respect you the rest of their lives, because they would know and they will remember what they put you through. And you were able to stand with them. You didn't just give up and run away and say all the bad things about them. And that's the beauty of marriage. So I would encourage every couple that, every person that's about to give up, you've got many more reasons to stand and to be firm than just to give up. And you can win your person over, your husband, your wife, you can win them back over. And keep fighting, because our battle is not against flesh and blood. That is against principalities and powers. There are forces working behind this, trying to destroy your marriage. Don't just give in to the enemy. Stand up and fight for them. Tomorrow they will thank you for the rest of your life.
My encouraging word to the couple will be, stay together. There's no better husband or better wife. We just need to work through things. If you feel that you're getting discouraged, seek help. But marriage is a beautiful thing, and God made it for us to enjoy it. So my words of encouragement is that learn to forgive more and be respectful, especially for the women, because some of the men complain that women are not respectful and can lead to a whole lot of things. Learn to be respectful. You don't lose anything. You respect only one husband. You don't care about the others, but respect your husband only and continue raise beautiful children in a godly way. Stand together, pray together. Make sure that you are committed to the things of God, because that will help. And be strong and trust in God and enjoy your marriage.
And then Jesus once said, it's very true what my wife said. Jesus once said to the guys that came to him, and they were saying, Moses, by law gives out a certificate of divorce if you want to divorce your wife. And that kind of law only favored men, it was just meant for men. And so they said, what do you say about it? And Jesus said, look, Moses did all of that because of the hardness of your hearts. In the beginning, it was not like that. It was never like that. That was not God's original plan. And so people look for all reasons. And I believe that, I would say to encourage you, don't allow your heart to become hardened against your partner. How does the heart become hardened? It becomes hardened when you're no longer sensitive to your partner, sensitive to their time of, difficulties, sensitive to their needs, sensitive to their concerns, their worries, their anxieties, their family, their progress, their success. When we lose concern about each other's well-being, that's when we lose sensitivity. And when we can no longer hear each other, the partner is talking about one thing over and over, raising it, you just don't hear it anymore. You become hardened towards them. Until one day when it really becomes too serious, and that's when you wake up. And I believe it is because of that hardness of heart. People start very well and they're easy on each other, they're friends, All of a sudden they become so hardened, they are working to oppose each other and stuff like that. They even talk negatively against each other with others, with family and with friends. And I don't think that is necessary. My encouragement is to you, allow yourself to remain the same easy, simple, easygoing person. A lover, a friend. Don't change into something else. Don't become bureaucratic about your relationship and about your marriage. Just be a simple person. Even when your kids grow up, they need to find the daddy and the mommy they want to see. The daddy and the mommy who stands together, who are understanding, who are easy. But when you are hardened, it also transfers to the kids. Kids are afraid to even talk to you about serious issues they're going through. So it's very important that parents learn to just be easygoing and to be simple and to be sensitive, stay more sensitive. The longer you stay together, the more you know each other. And that becomes an advantage of how you can easily engage each other and interact and benefit your marriage much more by knowing each other. Some people know each other enough to work against each other, and I don't think that is right. And knowing each other is for your own benefit and to make it easy for your marriage.
And maybe finally to be prayerful, because you cannot correct someone by words. You just need to pray and ask God for wisdom, even to engage on certain things. Just be prayerful, ask God to guide you. How do I address things like this? And be happy.
Yeah, be happy and enjoy life. Go on holiday, vacation somewhere. Change the setup in your bedroom, put some new linen and, make it a happy house and just don't just have the old same stuff, the old same setting. Sometimes it depresses you. Just change the environment somewhere and enjoy
and go
life
shopping.
And be happy. Yeah, go shopping, walk together and hold each other's hands there and that's what life is all about, God has given us all things richly to enjoy, not to endure.